Good morning, world. What's good? It is your boy, Coach Josh Smalls, in the building. We are here with another fabulous day. It is really nice looking outside. Stefan, what's good? Mike, what's good? It looks really nice outside, but it's like 30 something degrees, and I'm really not up for it. I'm not up for that. I'm not up for the cold. You can have all the cold. I need to move closer to the equator. I need to be where it's warm all the time because I don't do the cold. So anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and we are on IG Live. If you're on IG, I'm not ignoring your messages, but it's hard to read the tiny print, and then I have big print in front of me, and that just drives me nuts. So if I can read your messages, I will get to them and reply. If not, then I'll be coming over to, if you come over to YouTube, I can get it all. If you are on Facebook and you don't have the actual live open and you're typing comments, I won't see them until the show is over. And so if you want to come on, just open up the video on your phone or your computer and type in there, and then you will be automatically able to respond, and I can respond back to you in there. So if you're on there, I'm not ignoring you because I got a message. You won't never say nothing when I be saying stuff, but you have to have the actual thing open. Hey, Tiffany, have to have it open for me to actually get it. And so, yeah, that's that. So, yeah, so hoping that everybody's having a good morning. I got tons of stuff to talk about. I am a Charlotte Art League. I am this featured artist on Charlotte Art League right now. So if you go to Charlotte Art League and you look on their IG page, it's probably on their website too. I am the featured artist. So if you can like that, that would be great. Because that's we're moving on up, right? With the Jeffersons, right? That's how it works. And I'm happy about that. And I know, Tiffany, what's up with that? How you there by yourself? And so thank y'all thank you for all your support. I got a few surprises that are coming up soon. I'm going to announce those soon and show those things soon. And so I hope that you all can be a part of it. Yeah. And then I can't wait to. I'm really hoping this one thing I get to announce to y'all real soon, but I can't talk about that now, so I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, I have a guest in the building today, an amazing spirit who just happens to be a writer and a poet. Brittany Thomas, good morning. She's really dope. I was so glad. I was supposed to have her on yesterday, but like I told you, I don't have my assistant. So not having an assistant, things get messed up. But anyway, she's here today, and I'm going to bring her up right now, and I want y'all to give a shout out to my friend Marissa. What's up, Marissa? What's good? Okay, let me tell you, you're on mute. You're on mute on your end. So
rookie mistake. Sorry.
There you
but
go.
Yeah, no, I'm just glad I was awake when
I am too. Because so that means yesterday you were awake and waiting for me, and I was the fart who didn't call you.
Totally okay. It's not a big deal. I like tuning into your show, so it's fun.
This show. When I decided I wanted to do it, and I have some ideas of what's coming up next with the show, but I initially wanted to make sure that if I don't have a guest, that people want to hear me, right? And not just hear me do poetry, because that's different. And I rarely do poetry here, or even I don't even ask my guests to do it. I mean, if they choose to, that's on them. But and so I wanted to see people if they're going to really pay attention and come to the show, and it happens to be a good thing. I think I've done 30 something episodes by myself, no guests, and people are here. So if people are here, I figure if there's a guest that doesn't show up, I can still hold it down for one day.
Yeah.
If I did 30 days, I'm sure one day, we can flip-flop it.
And it was beautiful what you were talking about yesterday about, when kids run to you and they give you your love, and it's just like, motherhood and fatherhood. And it's so true. Right. And it's so exciting. You've got a new one coming.
Yeah. There's nothing better than that. That's like the best thing. So before we even get all the way in, tell the people who you are, tell them where you're from, tell them what you do, who you know, what your shoe sizes, whatever you want to share. It's fine.
So my name is Marissa Prada. I do a lot of different things, actually. I'm a poet and a writer. I also played pool professionally for a little while. I was studying to go to vet school. That was really where where I thought my path was going to lead me. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm the mother of 2 daughters. My oldest is 10. My youngest is 6. She just lost her 3rd tooth yesterday. It was really gross. I don't do teeth. I love to cook, right? So, and I love to garden. We have a beautiful weather here, so a lot of what we do is outdoors, a lot of camping, a lot of fishing, a lot of hiking, a lot of mountains here. Love traveling. Um, yeah, and we just started kind of blowing up on social media for poetry and for writing lately. Ma Dukes and I, we started just the two of us kind of getting into little forums like this just for ourselves to shoot poetry and to write. And pretty soon people started trickling in and more people wanted writing prompts and more people wanted writing prompts and people wanted us to start peer reviewing their chat books. And so I was like, we should create, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So I said we should create a Facebook page and we should co-author it. And so we did. We created The Word Is Right, WRITE, and it's really kind of a launch pad for poets
Mhm.
and a safe space where, stigma, if you've ever been made to feel marginalized or less than, right? This is an incredible place for you because everyone is so loving there and you can speak your truth, whatever that is. If you got hard shit to say, you can say it. If you have happy stuff too, whatever. Uh, so we've been doing that. We did our first slam, our first cash slam this last weekend, which you were there. Was oh my
Mhm.
god, was that not incredible for our
It
first
was. That was dope.
slam? We had 32 people tuning into the night, and we had our first slam, our first international poet, right, from Germany. And bless his heart, Fresh Linen, he came swinging all the way from Germany in the armed forces, serving over there with his wife, and he won, right? And he won with perfect scores, and he's going to come and feature for us. So
Oh, that's
I'm so excited. That young man is so talented. Um, that yeah, we were so excited. So we're gonna start to do a lot more things. We're already booked through January and February, just launching poets, just giving them a platform to launch from, right? Everyone
yeah.
who's coming up, you probably, except for Sarah Mental, because she's amazing, right? She's coming, she's featuring Friday, right? So if you guys have never heard Sarah Mental, you got to come hear her. The woman is, she's like my spirit animal. Um,
Wow.
she's featuring not Friday night, excuse me, Saturday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so it's 8 p.m. Eastern, and she's such a lovely soul, an incredible person. She's featuring Saturday. Everyone is relatively. This is their first feature,
Oh,
and
wow.
they should have
Wow.
probably been featured like a year ago. Most of these people are just insanely good. Uh, so
What's his name again? Lennon. What was it? The one who won.
George Lennon Jr.,
Listen.
but Fresh Linen is his stage name.
Fresh Lennon. He floored. Oh my gosh! Like I was throwing stuff around my house. Like he
Right?
actually came in for the kill.
Be like
And
Moody Black with the pens, right?
yeah. But I was throwing like books and shit, just slinging shit. Like
He was so good. And I think the video is now on Gorilla Poets website, right? Because we were raising money for Shane Maynor and Gorilla Poets, and we raised $801 in one night for them. Our goal was 500. So if you go to Gorilla Poets, they'll have the video, and you can watch Fresh
mhm.
Linen drop his poems.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You know I'm a
he
gorilla
came out of nowhere, right? Didn't you
out of
feel
nowhere.
that?
Like I didn't know that. I didn't know what to expect. And like I didn't know there was only the young fellow that did the poem, and I forgot his name, but he had did the poem in the one of the open mics that we were on. Remember? And it was like
Yeah, yeah.
you are loved and you're better than what he said. Oh my gosh! Like that poem broke
King-
everybody
the
again.
Kingston. Oh, y'all don't even know, right? I've been to many a different poetry forum, and hands down, and I know everyone thinks their baby is like the best and stuff, but like hands down, the collection of people in this group, it ranges coast to coast,
Mhm.
right? There isn't anybody, any one person or one group in this group. It's a collaboration of many groups. So we're not like cliquey at all. We're
Right.
just totally loving of everyone who comes in. Um, I got a lot of comments about my when I was reading the tens. People are like, I just want to get a 10, so you say that.
And
It was
so
great.
when I host slams, right, and you get when somebody gets a 10, it's got to be, you know, it's not like, oh, they got a 10. You have to make it big. I was so jealous that I never said that at my slams. I was so jealous that I never thought to say, "Hey, the motherfucking 10." Like that was like the best thing for me when you said that. I was like floored. I was like, yo, why
It
did I
was
never
so
think
much
of that?
fun. It was so it was so funny. Oh man. And so then Mr. Speaker, who's wonderful, right? If you've never had him on your show, you should really ask him to come. He invited me to the Eureka Poets last night, and I went and I read my new poem. And man, again, those people are so warm and inviting and loving, and it's just like, how can you not be grateful? I mean, I know we're all in a pandemic, right? And we're all distance learning with our kids, and we're all drinking too much or smoking too much, and not exercising enough. But man, I would have never had the chance to meet you or Shane. Well, I met Shane anyway, like before the pandemic, but like you or a lot of the people around the country, right? And you can't help but feel so freaking grateful for
Yeah,
being home and glued to a fucking computer,
you know,
um, because the work is getting so good. Um, but that's only a reflection of all of the poets who pour into these events.
I had no
Um,
idea that it would. And so when the pandemic first set off, I was depressed. I had a presentation for that I was going to be doing something for the NBA, and in front of the officials of the Bobcats and the Cleveland Cavaliers, I believe it was, with Kevin Love. And I was going to be on a panel, and that was Friday. Well, they started shutting things down. I was like, oh, shoot, man, this is crazy. And then they shut us down Wednesday. So I'm 2 days. If they would have given me 2 more days, I would have been. And so I went into this depression. It was rough for me. I didn't know what to do. I was like really down. I was sitting on the sofa so long that my back started hurting. I just could not move, no sleep or anything. And then um, out of nowhere, Moody Black, who's my friend for years, that's my brother, I call him. Um, I see him pop up on IG doing an open mic. And then before you know it, poetry was on IG live all night, every stinking night. And I've met so many people. I performed in so many different countries, right? Never leaving here. In
right.
fact, I did a show that streamed on a platform. I think it was 1.17 million viewers that
Wow.
viewed
That's
I did a
incredible.
poem. I was like, holy. And so the largest group I performed in front of was a little over 300 people, which was
That's
amazing in
crazy.
itself. But now listen, it's one thing to be in front of a camera and 3 million people can see you on a camera, as opposed to being in a building with 300 people physically in this building. Like there's no such vibe like that. And the crazy thing about that was it was a Kwanzaa event, and people who know me, oh, it was crazy. And people
You
who
know,
know me
speaking of
never.
Kwanzaa, that's what I did in Shane Maynard's artwork shop. It's one of the
Oh
Kwanzaa symbols, and
wow!
it has the seven. It has the seven principles. Watch, my camera's all backwards. It has the seven principles of Kwanzaa.
I
I've
wish.
got to scan it and send it to her. And like, if you do it with some light behind it,
Yeah.
it looks
Oh wow!
like
Look at that.
even cooler. Isn't that so? I'm sorry, John, not to like be a dick
No,
and
that's
interrupt you,
fine.
but I was like, oh, I just happened to do this.
Wow. So how long did it take you to do that?
Well, so I worked on it for about 30 minutes, and then I probably worked on it for another 30, so like an hour maybe. But I did it in watercolors, so like I had to wait for a lot of it to dry before I could do the line work and the pencil work. So I kind of set the shape, and then I watercolored it, and then went back in with ink and pencil and some pastel, like oil pastel, chalk pastels.
Wow. IG, I wish y'all can see that. Y'all need to see it. That's awesome. So when you need to post that somewhere so people can see that. That's pretty dope.
Sure. Well, Shane asked for the picture, but I'll post this. I'll totally post this on the Word is Right today.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook. I mean, you're all welcome to send me a friend request. I don't accept people I don't know, so you'll have to send me a message and say, "Hey, I met you in Jaws, coaching thing," because otherwise it gets a little out of hand. And so,
Yeah, I don't like the unwarranted DMs that come in, and I'm like, nah, pass. I
come
don't.
to the Word is Right and follow that all you want.
And so, Fat Cat in the building. Ramadan, how you doing? And so, let me ask you this: you said you love to cook. So, what's your
Oh
favorite?
my
One of your
God.
favorite dishes to cook?
So I live in New Mexico. The food, and this is part of the United States. Okay, we speak
I'm
English.
coming
We
down
are
there.
American. Oh, John, you need to come. Yes, you need to come down here because oh yeah, we'll take you around. There, New Mexico is so amazing, right? I should have worked for the tourist department like that. That was my calling, right? So I'm Italian, and I love cooking Italian food, but I've really gotten into a lot of Japanese food, broth-based ramens, a lot of I roll my own sushi now. I've figured out how to do it because it's super freaking expensive to go out and eat, and now you can't because of COVID. Um, Anything with pasta, I make everything from scratch. So I have my own sourdough starter. So I make all my own bread, all my own pasta. Yeah, everything I do is like scratch.
So can I get
And
some
I teach
recipes?
my
Like, I don't mind like
yes,
learning. Yes.
yes. My kids do it too, right? I teach them how to make the food, right? It doesn't come from the grocery store. We also have chickens. We do that whole. We try to have really eliminating waste in our home. So our chickens, give us eggs. We give them table scraps. We compost everything in the house that we can. Really, kind of that whole farm to table thing. And then in the summer, it's a big, massive garden. Tilling in the compost. It's really my undergrad is in agriculture and animal science. So, growing things is kind of fun for me. But
Wow.
but yeah, it's oh,
And so,
and I was thinking about you. I went to this thing. My friend poet, she brought me into this reading room on the other night, and it was like everybody who was reading needed a 5-minute introduction because of their bio, right? There was people from Johns Hopkins there. There's people with like PhD, like they had residencies like in this place, this place. I mean, it was like my mind was blowing. It not only felt like so reducing, right? But like their work, I did not think, and this is not like a personal thing, okay, it's very objective because I didn't know anybody there.
right.
I did not think that their work was heads and tails above anybody in your forum or Shane's forum or my forum, like
Wow.
at all. And I remember you had just talked about on your show how you deliver your poetry and write your poetry for regular people because regular people, it's I was just like, I just needed a shower when I got out of there. Like it was great. Don't get me wrong. The poetry is beautiful. The people seem nice,
Yeah.
but like, it just, I'm like, what? That is not in line with what our vision is of pushing new poets up, right? And together we all rise is kind of our slogan. And I just felt like I needed a secret handshake or something to get in. And you know what I mean? So I was thinking about you when I went to that forum. That how,
You know
yeah, yeah.
what I've learned is just talking to educators on all levels, right? People who are just who are workshop facilitators, people who actually teach children, people who teach adults and continue education courses. they teach on a level that's plain for everybody to understand. And if you don't, it's harder for people to actually really grab all that you're giving because people learn on different levels.
Yeah.
And I want to say I was taught that you teach if you can teach between fifth and eighth grade level, you can teach anybody. And people looked at when I first mentioned that, people were like, that really makes somebody who went to college feel like, why am I here? But it doesn't, because when I go to workshops and they're using these terminologies and big words and big phrases that I never heard of, I'm zoned out and I don't get it. But when you can give it to me on a level that is easy and I don't have to work to understand it, it makes me want to work more. And
Mhm.
so when I do my workshops, I keep my workshops on a level that anybody who walks in here, they could have never written a story or a poem ever in their life. They can still grab the idea that I'm giving them and run with it and not be stuck like, oh my gosh, I got to compare to that person or that person. And I think that's very important with people because how can I how can I expect you to know what I went to school for 15 freaking years and you might have just finished high school. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
chances are you're gonna miss some stuff in between there. And it doesn't make you, you know, dumb or anything. It's just that you weren't, you know what I'm saying, you hadn't had that kind of training. And I think that's what we miss,
Yeah.
like we do these workshops. So
And
I
how
would
do we hook them, right? Especially the young people, right? How do you hook them and pull them in to where they're going to listen and pay attention, and you're going to focus them and drive them to do better, right? Because we're not babying people, we're creating lions, not lambs. I like to say, so we want to toughen people up a little bit, and so that's one of the reasons why we publicly announce scores and slams. But we want to push people to be better. I'm incredibly competitive. I'm probably one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet in your life. And so, like, when we're doing competition, it's all about, what can I learn and grow and do better? Because even if you're losing, you're learning, and if you're learning, you're still winning. You have to have that attitude, right? You have to have the attitude of, well, I'm still going to walk away with something.
mhm.
If you have your head down and you're dejected and you're thinking about the lowest score and you're taking it personally, and you're not looking at the opportunity. It's not weakness, it's opportunity, right? The opportunities you have to work on your work. That's just kind of in general, business, personal, everything, my philosophies. Uh, yeah, so someone had said they want to watch me do a cooking thing.
Yes.
Cooking. So I was thinking as we were talking, I was like, what could I cook that anyone could do anywhere in their kitchen? And I was thinking, what about like biscuits? They're the most simple thing, but they're really freaking hard for people to do, right? And it's not that hard. And you don't need any special equipment. You need a bowl, you need a fork or a spoon, and you need a cheese grater, right? And then you need butter, flour, baking soda, and salt. So like if you could do that, then I'll teach you how to make biscuits, and they're so good. And there's lots of other things we could do. So maybe people should just like, put what they want to see in. I mean, the show's only an hour, but I could have stuff pre-made. The other thing I was thinking of is like crostatas are like deconstructed pies, and the dough is really easy to make, although having a food processor helps. So if you
Mhm.
don't have a food processor, you're mixing by hand, it's a little harder. But if you have a food processor, it's just pie, pie dough, and you're putting the fruit or whatever you want, and you're just folding it up. Very rustic, doesn't have to be perfect, beautiful, delicious, fast. So
And so here's what we're gonna do, right? You need to just go ahead and just start your own YouTube channel. So
I have one, although I never post video. I don't do videos.
oh, I'm gonna be all in your DMs now. It's going down. It's going down.
I go on YouTube less than I go on Instagram.
Here's one of the things that I know. People always want to learn how to make bread, any kind of pastries, and people can't make biscuits and dumplings. Like if you can teach those things, like everybody wants to make homemade bread. You know what I
I
mean?
can
And
teach
you can
you how to
start with
do a
that.
sourdough starter. If you want, we can do a sourdough class. Sourdough, to actually brew the starter. I mean, it's homemade, right? So it takes like 10 days to get funky on your counter, and then
Oh
it probably
wow.
takes another week to strengthen it, right? But once you have it for life. I think the oldest sourdough starter is like 150 years old. It's insane, right? As long as you feed it regularly, it doesn't die, and it's all naturally occurring yeast and it's different from region to region, right? But you can do it, especially with COVID and the lines. I mean, who's got time to go to the store and wait for 2 hours in the freaking cold to go get yeast, right? You can create it in your home. And out of lots and lots of different things, even just flour and water and air. It's that simple, right? And then we can do a sourdough course, like, to start the starter, and then how do I actually make the bread? Because again, like, people look at the bread, and you would pay like $8 a loaf for this bread in the store, like in a boutique shop, or 10 even, right? And it costs me less than 50 cents to make. Like, it's insanely crazy. And I don't know why people aren't baking their own bread. There should not be any hunger issues in this country. I think it's just resources and education and getting it out there, because it's a completely renewable resource. That starter, you never have to buy it. I mean, it's flour and water. That's it. I mean, you can add things to help it. Like, I did one that was made out of pineapple, and the one was made out of grapes, and one that was made out of honey. And so, like, the red grape one, I think, is the best. The strongest starter I've made.
Wow.
But really, if you don't have any of that, you could just do flour and water. Yeah.
And then
all the things you never knew you're going to get on your show today, Joe.
Yeah, but and so again, that teaches what I like. I would rather teach you how to create your own career, your own business. If you can teach someone how to make bread, they have their own business instantly. All they have to do is put in the work, right? And it's as simple as that. Like, I want. So when I was younger, I used to make chicken and dumplings, right? And I didn't make the best dumplings, but hell, they was good to me when I ate them.
Favorite.
And so I want to get back to that. I want to get back to making chicken and dumplings, because I'm a soup kind of person. I don't like eating out all the time. That said, I want to stay home, put something on the stove, and eat at home. I don't like all these fingers in my food, and I just have my issues with that.
Have you ever calculated how much money you actually have you ever calculated how much money you actually spend eating out? Like, have you guys actually sat down and calculated how much? I mean, you're probably feeling the padding in the bank because you're not eating out during COVID as much, right? It's insane. Even if you go to Starbucks like once a week and you spend $5, that's like $250 a year. Like, come on, like, get the hell over, right? Anyways, but that's, if you get me on a soapbox like that, that'll be like another show. But yeah,
we definitely have to talk about this. I will co-host if you need me to. Okay, I don't care. We make bread one day, next week, and we make homemade. I can't imagine what homemade pasta tastes like.
Let's do it.
Because I love.
Oh my God, no! It's infinitely better, right? It's like when you're making chicken and dumplings. The way I do it is I put the chicken in a pot, the whole chicken, right? The whole raw chicken. I put carrots, celery, onions, some, herbs like parsley and whatever, bay leaves, and I fill the whole thing up with cold water. I put it on the stove. I slowly bring it up to a simmer, and then I start the timer for 1 hour. Okay. At 1 hour, I pull the chicken out. I take all the meat off of it, and I put the bones back in. And then I let that go for at least another hour or two straight. And you have homemade chicken stock that is heads and tails above anything that you would buy in a can or box. And it's that easy, right? So when you talk about pasta, people get so intimidated because they think that they need a special pasta roller, or you need a special pasta cutter. And really, you just need a fork and you need your hands to put everything together. And you can use a wine bottle, or, like, if you have a round soy sauce or whatever in the fridge, just use like whatever you have in the fridge. You don't need any special tools. You roll it out and you cut it and you put it in the water and you eat it. And it's so infinitely better. I'm telling you, it's infinitely better than anything you would buy in a box. You won't go back.
Y'all, everybody that's watching here, Make sure you follow her, right? So we can encourage her to go on. Let's do the show. I'll host it. I will host from here.
Yeah, I'm
Take
down.
platform
I'm down.
on a Saturday or Sunday, and we'll just put it out there. Man,
Yeah,
like
I'm
people,
down. Let's do it.
a lot of people. We live in a culture now that has gotten away from cooking at home, which is why they have to have fast foods and all these things running rapid. But at the same time, this is why people have all these cancers and all these other things. We eating all this trash that's no good for us. And
Yeah.
people don't know how to do the homemade stuff. I, for one, want homemade stuff. Like I don't like to eat a lot of stuff that, even when I go in the store, like I don't buy the first box or first can of anything because I feel like that's the old shit because they rotate the stock. So I go all the way to the back and grab stuff. And people be like, I don't like buying shit on sale because I know that's old shit. Like people don't that's what it is. And so I really eat the homemade stuff. I want the stuff that comes, I know what's in it, not
Yeah.
putting words on. Like you don't know half the shit that's in your food. You be eating stuff and you read the box and you don't know what none of that stuff is. Really scary. Really scary. So we gotta get.
You're totally true. I mean, and another thing is I'm looking out my kitchen window, like some things that people don't realize they can reuse. Issa, you have library. Just had to yell at my daughter to remind her real quick. When you get green onions, right? And you're cutting all the way down, and you have the root, and you usually pitch the root. If you put it in water, you can regrow it. The same goes for most herbs that you get at the store. If you just put it in a cup of water, put like a bag over it, don't seal it, just put a bag over it, kind of acts like a mini greenhouse, but it'll regrow for you. I mean, there's lots and lots of things you could do. To just kind of regrow some of those things, especially if you're in an apartment or a studio and you don't have a yard to grow vegetables, you could just throw it under a light and they'll grow like crazy.
I'll tell you one thing. We can ready to start a madhouse. Everybody's talking about yeah.
I can't see any of the comments, but if you're commenting, I love you. Thank you. I'll have to go, and I'm sure I can read it later. I'm sure I can find it.
I'm gonna send you the link back, and you'll be able to see everything once we get done. Listen, I always say, like, you never know what you're going to learn from somebody, right? And once you find out what people do, like, I didn't know you did all this homemade stuff for one. I knew you was a dope poet. I know your spirit was amazing. Like, I was like, yeah, I need to get on the show. What you did for the Guerrilla Poets, like, that is the greatest thing. I was never more proud to be a guerrilla poet than to see how hard once you see how hard somebody actually fights for something that you believe in.
Yeah.
And I think it surpassed what the goal Shane wanted to reach, and probably almost 3 times of what she expected, and or maybe more. But I'm just saying it was amazing. So appreciate you for doing that, definitely. But you are something else, woman. You are something else. You're very.
When we first started talking to Shane about doing this, right, Ma Dukes and I are collaborating. And one of the things you'll learn about me is that I do nothing normal and I don't think small. Those are like the 2 things that since I was a little tiny little kid, I did nothing normal and I never thought anything small, right? Except for Ja. But other than that, and so when we went to Shane with it and we're like, Shane, we'd love to do a fundraiser for Guerrilla Poets. And she was like, okay. And I said, well, let's set a goal so we can tell people we need to reach our goal that helps us actually achieve it. And I said, well, let's do $500. And I think she was thinking that was completely unattainable, right? And I thought if I set the bar at 500, then I was going to really have a goal of 1,000. Like that's, you know what I mean? I was trying to incrementally grow the belief muscles because, a mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. So I was kind of flexing the belief muscles. Let's shoot for 500, right? Let's make our goal 500. And we'll say that's our goal. But like really, my goal was 1,000 and we got so close. We got $801. And so you can't not be grateful for every single person who showed up and donated. And like I was saying, even if it's just $1, man, $1 could put us over. And we had the 801, right? But yeah, and then you had said something about reading. I think
Tola went over that. I think that morning she posted like 1,100.
No, it wasn't 1,100. 801.
No, I guess somebody else must have did something later because she posted in our group.
Really?
Yeah, she posted in our group. It's
Okay,
like
well
11.
then, so we did 801, and then probably someone donated directly to
Somebody
them.
must have donated after. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
how generous, right? I mean, if you guys aren't familiar with Guerrilla Poets and what they do, they're the best group of the most lovingly unselfish human beings in this world, right? They work a lot with youth, with troubled youth. They work a lot in foster care systems, teaching kids about writing and art and drawing, and they provide supplies, outreach. I mean, it's so crazy awesome, and it's so necessary. And especially right now, like in New Mexico, teen suicide has been rampant here. Last year we had a bunch of high school girls that had a pact that they were going to take their own life, and it's just, there has never been a greater need in this life for the arts,
Mhm.
for mental health awareness, for someone to just sit and listen to you, to provide a safe space, right, to share space with you. um, and that's what these folks do.
Mhm.
It's so imperative that we support that. uh, so yeah, it was never a question of if we were going to do a fundraiser. It was just when. And I said, well, we got to do before the holidays because tax
Yeah,
season's coming up, and y'all need to get right off your taxes, right? Because they're nonprofits. So that was one of the hooks,
yeah.
right? The hooks to pull you in. So,
Uh,
but
Ma Dukes. Ma Dukes. When did you meet her? How did you meet her? She is, first of all, her presence when she gets ready to
yes,
do a poem makes you be like,
I know
so how
she's
did y'all meet?
amazing. We met through Zoom, actually. We met through Zoom. So it's really funny, right? Because in Albuquerque we have, Mindwell Poetry, and we have The Word Is Right. Well, I mean, it kind of bloomed into a break off group, but then there was Guerrilla Poets. Then there was people up in the north, right? So we had people from Ohio, Modista in Pennsylvania, and then we had poets down in Florida. We have poets scattered across Tennessee, Texas, right? Cerebellum Mental. So like we had all these people just kind of scattered, but we all really liked each other. And so we just kind of formed this breakout group. And I think, you attract like-minded people, you attract like energy people. And I straight up don't put up with bullshit. Like if someone's going to come in and drop any kind of hate speech, they get bounced. Like I don't put up with it. I run big time pool tournaments with big time pool babies, and man, I tell them straight up, if you're gonna come and you're gonna pitch a fit and you're gonna cry in my tournament, you will be 86. Like done, right? You have to set the standard for behavior sometimes, and I'm glad to say that we've created the safe space, and we don't have any of those people, the naysayers and the negativity people. They'll fall off, right? They can't handle the positivity, the sparkle, right? So if you can't handle the sparkle, get out. That's not what we want in our group. Done. Not a problem. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but you're going to miss out on an opportunity to learn from great people. So that's how I met Ma Dukes, was just through an online forum, and she and I became very quick friends. We're very like-minded people, and thank God she kind of balances me out. Um, but we both have this kind of snarky, dirty sense of humor, so like we get along great. Um, but yeah, so that's how we've all met and kind of become friends.
Yeah, she's really dope, man. She's her presence is like, she's in the room. And then she's
Yeah.
quiet until she gets ready to do a poem, and then it's like, okay, where the hell you been hiding? Like, what the hell happened? Like, where did you come
The
from?
hammer, right? The hammer, it comes down and she brings the hammer down, right? It's like you
She's
think she's just she blends in, right? You don't think anything. She's like a chameleon ninja, right? She blends in, and then all of a sudden, bam, she's
right
in
in
your
your face.
face, throwing it down, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? And you're just holding your hat like, oh, I'll leave now, right? Um, she's phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, they all are. They all are. Like I can't
Right,
even
right.
name them all because they're all phenomenal, right? What I love is that we have some new poets who've never done an open mic before, or they've never done a slam. right? They're kind of been quarantined in their little bubble, and they've been kind of socially isolated, right? We're providing a space for them, and they're coming on and they're slamming and they're open micing, and it's like baby steps. It's like growing, right? That they would have
Yeah.
never done in a different forum. Like, you can't,
Yeah.
come on, you can't like not be grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't pay
I
for
mean,
that.
it's easy for us, right? Because you and I, we've been doing this a while. You know, we've been in front of people for a while. We've been writing
Yeah.
for a while, but like
That's
we
different.
forget the first time how hard it is.
Oh my gosh. The first time I did, so we opened up our open mic like 7 years ago. And I rarely performed, not because I didn't want to, but because, I'm trying to learn the ins and out of the actual business of having a venue. Because I used to do reggae parties, and we used to bring reggae DJs and reggae artists and all of that. But to have an open
Have a
mic thing,
reggae party.
listen, I am a reggae
We
dance
need to
hall.
pause that.
Like that's I stopped dancing. I used to belong to several dance groups, but I stopped dancing when I really got into DJing reggae dancehall music. Like, I didn't have no reason to dance anymore. It was all about reggae dancehall, so I absolutely loved it. But coming into the open mic thing and starting the whole poetry lifestyle was totally different for me, and I didn't know what to expect, so I didn't. And then when I decided to not do a freestyle, because freestyle is what I've always freestyled. That's what I was known for. But once I got into actually reading my work in front of people, oh man, that was like the most nerve-wracking thing ever. And I wasn't afraid to be on the mic, but it's just, come on, man, I'm giving you my thoughts. Like, how does this work? It's not rap no more. You know what I mean? It was kind of different. So I applaud people who get up there the first time and then they want to come back. That love happens, and then like, yeah, I'm ready for it. So it has been, that first time is you never forget it. You can remember the hair on your arm standing up, the shakes. I remember I was sitting down, and I just kept shaking my foot. I was just shaking like hell, like I had an issue, and it was only because I was just nervous. I was just nervous. I want to ask you something about
Sure.
running the pool thingy. What were you doing? Like, how did that happen? Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay, so and if you want me to read before we close tonight, I'll totally read the homage I wrote to poets this last year. But anyway, so playing pool. Okay, so I'm just putting it out there. So now I'm never going to get a cash game because I've now said it publicly on YouTube that I play pool so great. Uh, In fact, I've never been to Amsterdam Billiards. I think they closed it. It was in New York City, and that was on my bucket list of places to go. I've never been to. A lot of friends played out of there. So if they're closed now, I'm totally bummed, man. We're losing our pool rooms left and right. We're losing history. I mean, it's just as much as anything else that these pool rooms that have been open 100 years are dying slowly. But so the house I grew up in, we had a little bar box pool table in our basement, and I had always hit on it, but I never knew what the hell I was doing. And oh, thank you, Brittany. Oh, I got a message pop up. Thanks, Brittany. So my grandfather, apparently he used to play pool when he was younger, and I just remember he always had a pool cue, right? And so when I went to college, I realized there was a pool hall in the student union building. So I went to college to learn how to play pool. That's essentially what happened. And it's so funny because it was this town. I went to New Mexico State, is in the city, Las Cruces, and it's about 100. It was about 70 or 80,000 people at the time, mostly college kids. But it was the best pool tables you could find in the city were in the student union building. And I made friends with my friend Adis, and he and I are still friends to this day. And he is arguably one of the best players in the state. And every single day, I would go and get my ass kicked for years. And no, let me clarify. Right, I would win 1 out of 100 games, like maybe, like total annihilation. But every single time, yes, it's like it's like me, Muhammad Ali of pool, right? He just knockout like every day. And this is, I mean, I'm not a masochist or anything, but Jesus, it was just demoralizing on a daily basis. But I went back every day for years and I played with this man, right? And I got better and I got better and I got better. And then I got invited to my first collegiate tournament. So I played for the university, and the second year that I played for the university, I actually won the regionals. And they sent me to nationals, which was in Charlotte. And so I've been to Charlotte once, but it was only for that weekend, and it was a controlled college thing, so I didn't get to like see the city. I want to say I took third. God, it was so long ago. I'm pretty sure I took second or third while I was there. Yeah. And so then when I turned 21, I joined the leagues at the bars. I mean, what else are you going to do, right? You can't go to the bars and play pool. I mean, I never had to buy a drink in college because I always played people for beer.
Gotcha.
So it was a total system, right? And then I played at the national tournaments for a few years. In 2007, I won the Billiard Congress of America's National 8-Ball Championship, the Women's Open. I won the Women's Open, and I went undefeated against 458 women to play in the largest amateur forum in the world. Yes, it was huge. It was huge, right? My family thought that it was such bullshit that I was playing pool, right? Until I brought home that $6,000 check, get out, right? And then that's when they start to say, oh, well, maybe there's something to this. But it helped.
6,000.
It was $6,000 was my entry. And I picked up sponsors after that, which was really fun. So like I got a $1,500 pool cue and some other things. So it was a lot. So then I went and toured. And I played. I joined the WPBA. But then of course, you know, the economy kind of had a decline, and there weren't very many tournaments coming out, for at least not for the WPBA. And they were not high paid. So even if you traveled somewhere, I mean, you make 10,000 if you win, but you spent 10,000 to get there. Like, it's just pool. I mean, the industry as a whole, the sport as a whole, it needs to be paid like golf. It needs to be paid like tennis. It is a skill. And the Mosconi Cup was just this past week. It's Europe versus the US, and Europe won. It was in, I believe it was in the UK that they hosted it. And I mean, so if you don't know anything about pool or whatever, I mean, to me, it's a passion. I've been doing it my whole life. But then I had my first daughter in 2010, so I kind of took a background. But like, my pool table is sitting right here next to me, and it's a professional grade 8-foot table. I like to play on it. There's no laundry on it, right? I just no, we're not putting the laundry on the pool table. Right.
I'm bringing you to Charlotte so we can hustle some of these folks. We're gonna make us some damn money.
We can make some money, right? I'm a little rusty, but I run big tournaments now, and I run, you know, most of them are in memory of my late coach, right? I moved to Albuquerque, and my coach coached me. We were with each other for about 4 or 5 years, every day, 70-year-old man, every day in the pool room with him, sometimes 12 hours at a time, grinding it out. I mean, you're talking like, man, there's some cash exchanged in those days. But he was my best friend. You know, he was my best friend. I loved him so much. And he passed away about 5 years ago now. And so every year we host his memorial tournament in his honor. So the way I can pay thank you and tribute to him. So that's pool.
Salute to him.
Oh, and now I teach kids. I teach youth. I have a young kid I was teaching up until COVID, and he would he went to go play in New Orleans at the junior nationals and took second. I think second, yeah, just same as like what I did when I was little. And he's 10 now, but yeah, it's you got to pour into the future, whatever your vocation is, man. Don't let what you love die.
Yeah. Mike said he'd like to play you. I just want to watch because I'm betting.
Yeah, so listen, that would be fun.
You said you want to read a poem. I'll let you read your poem so that I make sure you don't run out of time. Because we got about 8 minutes left. So I'll let you read your poem and then we'll close out.
Okay, let me see this real quick. Let me
vibe up. So all of y'all who want to play pool, I'm putting my money on Marissa. Let's go. What y'all got? Bring your money.
I'm rusty. I am so rusty. Y'all don't even know.
They
I
ain't never
am
win no
so
tournaments. I'm going with you. I'll take the rust.
I'm so glad someone takes the rest. All right, let me pull this up because I wasn't. It's my computer is so slow and my internet is slow, so hopefully it doesn't take more than 60 seconds. But ask me something else while I'm waiting for this too.
Your top 5 most influential people that you would like to meet, dead or alive. Top 5. Yeah.
Shakespeare. The Dalai Lama.
Mm-hmm.
The baby that I lost when I was 21. Probably Rosa Parks. And Einstein, maybe Einstein or Thomas Edison, maybe.
AJ said he don't play pool; he shoot billiards.
There you go. There you go.
I have not heard any of those names since I've asked that question since I've been doing this show.
Really?
Mm-mm. Which is very interesting.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
I kind of cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. I don't know. I just haven't thought. I mean, you think about things like that, but I don't really think about it.
You never really get asked that.
Okay, I'm going to redo this poem.
Okay.
Okay, this is my homage to poets. So if you poets are tuning in today, then this is for you. It's called Simple Stuff. No one really chooses to be a poet. It's more of a calling, a sensation, the yanking of a leash by ears thirsty for your words, the crowd begging for affirmation, for a familiar voice to call them home, the resting bitch face of any nearby pen screaming another line in your mind, trying to process the trauma from your soul. No one really chooses to be a poet, to look that deep for that long into the dark recesses of the inferno that stitched together the author, to continually cut and bleed, stitch and heal, only to cut and bleed in the spotlight for you again. Rescind our sins, recount indiscretions, relive all the things that fucked us up in the name of poetry. No one really chooses to be a poet because it typically won't pay the bills till after you're dead. So many things I should be instead, right? Wasting my life, some would say. Those poor souls who have no soul, awakened a day late and $1 short, no grip on who they are. I may have black tar running through my veins, but it runs like forest. I may cry much more than I laugh, but I pour those tears onto this stage. I may not make a fucking dime by my pen, but it shouts above all who wish to silence it. Above my own cowardly voice. Above my own rubbled expectations. It rips apart the shackled chains around my pilgrimage existence and allows just enough light in, just enough air to stare into the abyss and dare it to just look back. I never chose to be a poet. I just simply am a poet.
I want to write that poem. God almighty. I want to write that poem. Wow.
So thank you if you're turning in.
Yeah, like that excited me. I'm like, yo, that is a dope topic. The title in itself, right? And because you think as poets, when we decide to take this role that we were born to be in, right? You really live that. You don't feel like, you don't create poets. You know what I'm saying? You might help them find their balance, but you don't create a poet. Either you are or you are not. And I think everybody has the ability to be one, but not everybody chooses to walk in that path because there's so much with it. I remember them calling me the poetry pastor. And I was like, what is that? Right. But then I realized how many people actually come to me with their stuff, and I'm like, wow, I could actually hold a sermon now. Like I could open up a church for poetry. And so I
Oh
think
my
that it's
God, you should have Morgan. You got to have Morgan Guyton on your show. You got
more.
to have Morgan on your show. I will send him the link, and you got to have him on the show. He's one of the most interesting people I've ever met, and he's a brilliant poet.
He's the pastor,
He's
right?
he's a pastor, counselor. Yeah,
He's the cussing pastor. I call him.
Yeah, Star Child is his stage name. You got to have him on. If you want to have the religious talk, you got to have him on.
We got into a few deep in a couple of the open mics that I did, and he was in, and I was like, wow. And he actually comes with some off the wall stuff, and you'd be like, man. When he goes in, he's actually been on my Instagram open mic too, live open mic too. Yeah. Wow. But no, Paul, she's Prada on IG. Just look on
Prada Painting and Poetry on Instagram.
Say it again so they can get it.
It's Prada Painting and Poetry is on Instagram. It's just Marissa Prada on Facebook. The series that I author on Facebook is Poetography 505. Poet and ography. So because I blend photography and poetry in my books. So Poetography is the title, but Poetography 505 is the handle for my author series. And then the word is right.
And if I'm not, I will be today. And then if you're connected to me, I'll make sure y'all get connected. But she's not going anywhere. We got her locked in.
we got some food to make up here. We got some pasta to roll. We got some bread to make.
I am really looking forward to that. Like for real. Like yes.
You can give me 2 days. Give me 2 days notice, okay? Because it takes the bread 24 hours to ferment, and then I bake it the second day. So.
Gotcha. And maybe we'll start it in the new year, right? So the holidays will get past, and then we could start it in the new year or something like that. That way we can plan it out and do all the good stuff. That's, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm really excited. Listen, y'all gonna come here, y'all gonna learn how to write poetry, you know how to recite it, then you're gonna learn how to make bread so you can feed yourself.
Garden. We can do a gardening series in the spring.
I don't believe in coincidence. I just don't believe it was a coincidence that things happen. Like things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And so just that magic and saying, hey, this is what we can do for people to learn how to feed your families. And then what better, you can actually start a business by baking your own bread. You start your own business.
I sell them for $5 a loaf. And you want to know what else I've been making, Ja? I have been curing and smoking my own bacon. I have a smoker in my backyard, a big Traeger smoker, and it was my gift when I bought this house, right? I was like, man, I'm getting a smoker. And so I cure and smoke my own meats now too.
And she's a mechanic. She works on airplanes.
And I do hot air ballooning, right? So if you guys are going to come to New Mexico, come hot air ballooning. John, we got to set you a time.
No.
We know you love heights. Come on. You can't come to New Mexico and not go up.
I will pee my pants in a hot air balloon.
Okay. We'll get you a diaper. It's totally fine. It's easier for men than women. It's fine.
50-year-old man in a diaper. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Oh, my God. Look, we only have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So I'm going to close out, and then we'll talk because I don't want to listen, y'all. Make sure y'all follow her. If not, follow me. Send me a message. I'll make sure you stay in touch with her. Follow her Facebook page. She's super dope. Like I told you, I try to bring people up here with the right energy. And so you get to jump into their energy and fill their space. So thank y'all for tuning in so much, man. As always, I challenge you today to be better than you was yesterday. You have the ability to be amazing and awesome. And guess what? Can't nobody else do that. Nobody else can be you. So step out today and be amazing, be awesome. Teach the world how to love you by beginning to love yourself. After you love you, you will show the entire world how to embrace you and how your love language works. And there's nothing else better than that. Nothing wrong with that. I will see y'all same time tomorrow, same channel, same space. Y'all be good. Y'all be blessed. Stay up. Peace.